it is Michael Linson of Smart Classroom Management, and I'm going to show you the only set of classroom rules you're ever going to need, regardless of your grade level, whether you teach kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, or high school even. All you need are 4 rules. And to be clear, these 4 rules, their job is to cover every possible misbehavior you're likely to encounter. So, in other words, they protect your students' right to learn and enjoy being in your classroom, and they protect your freedom to teach. What this video and what these rules aren't about are how to teach these rules. That's for a future video, how to teach them in such a way that the students understand them and are more likely to follow them, more motivated to follow them. So there's a way that we believe you should be teaching these rules to your students, and how you should define them so students understand them clearly. But again, that's for a future video. This video also isn't about how to enforce them and the things that you say when you enforce rules. They're not about consequences. We're going to have a video on consequences in the future. This video is just to show you that you just need these 4, and they're proven over time with thousands of teachers. We started publishing these rules back in 2009. They're very common. You've probably seen them online. And I've been using them myself for more than 30 years with every grade level, K through high school. And so they're really, really effective. There are a couple sort of addendums to the rules that we're going to talk about as we go through them. But first, I just want to introduce the rules themselves. Number 1 is listen and follow directions. Number 2, raise your hand before speaking or leaving your seat. Number 3, respect your classmates and your teacher. Number 4, keep your hands, feet, and objects to yourself. The rules are very simple, but again, you'll find that they cover everything that you can imagine. And a great way to do that, to show yourself that they do cover everything, while at the same time helping you to be more consistent in following these rules and following through with your rules, is to do this exercise. And you'll notice in red, I've written out different common misbehaviors that I hear from a lot of teachers through the coaching practice at Smart Classroom Management, and over the years, just tons of interactions with teachers via email and on staff development days and those sorts of things. And these are the most common, really in all grade levels, but they're just examples. So you may have some that are more common for your teaching practice or at your school and your experience. So what you'll do is you'll write down your own most common misbehaviors on the outside of the rules. And I've drawn a sort of a semi-square around the rules, and this signifies protecting. So these are the boundaries that protect your students' learning and protect your freedom to teach. And that's what it's all about. And again, in red are some common misbehaviors. The blue lines, and this is the exercise you're going to do, is you're going to draw a line. Where's my blue marker? You're going to draw a line from the misbehavior. This one says calling out. So you'll draw a line from the misbehavior to the rule it breaks. In this way, there's no hesitation on your part. You see a misbehavior and you know exactly which rule it breaks. Now, you're going to teach your plan in such a way that the students know also, which is really, really critical. And by the way, there's a lot of of depth that we'll go into in future videos in making these effective and effective in a way that students are compelled to follow them, even eager to follow them. We're going to talk about ways of creating leverage so these rules actually matter to students. But again, future videos. Let's see. One thing you'll notice is that some of the rules will break, some of the behaviors will break more than one rule. And this is perfectly normal and perfectly okay. Students get it. You'll explain this to students as well. For example, pushing in line. Say you're lining up for some reason and you see some students pushing in line. It breaks listen and follow directions. It breaks respect your classmates. It breaks keep hands to yourself. And so you can choose one. You can say you broke rule number 1, or you can say them all. You broke rule number 1, 3, and 4, and you have a warning, or whatever it is, whatever the consequence is. I just choose one, or the students know because you've taught these and defined them so clearly. A student knows when they push another student and you give them a warning, you follow through. You don't have to explain it. They already know. But it's important in your mind to be clear about every single misbehavior in your classroom. Because if you're unsure, your students are unsure also, that creates gray areas of where the boundary is. So the boundary isn't here, it's sort of shaded and muddied, and students don't really know what is and isn't okay, and you don't really know what is and isn't okay. So it's important that you're really, really clear about it. This is what this exercise does. And so go through it. Again, write out all the most common, and then draw a line. So making noises in class could be respect, or definitely is respect. General disruption. Opening laptop early. So where would that go? Well, if it's something you taught them ahead of time and you gave them a direction that on my signal is when you open laptops, or at this point when you're finished with this part of your work, you open your laptop, they don't follow that, then it is listen and follow directions. There's one I did want to show, and this is where I mentioned that there might be a couple adjustments. If you are a kindergarten or first grade teacher, or you're a high school teacher, there is an adjustment to each that you can make to make your rules a little bit more effective. And I want to explain that a little bit because I think it's important. Generally, these rules, though, they'll cover everything K through 12. They've been proven over and over again. I've used them myself for all of those grade levels, K through 12, over 30 years. And we've had thousands of teachers, tens of thousands of teachers who have downloaded and followed the plan. And by the way, all the information on how to teach it, how to enforce, you can find all that stuff in the classroom management plans on the smartclassroommanagement.com website. However, if you're a kindergarten or first grade teacher, you may want to combine rules 3 and 4 to make the language more understandable. So if you make your third rule, you combine 3 and 4, and you make your third rule, be nice, that's something that they can really grasp. That's a concept they understand far better than respect your classmates and your teacher. So that's harder for you to define, but all kids know what be nice means. You're still going to define it. You'll still use examples of keeping their hands to themselves and not making calling people names or anything like that. So you'll still use some of those examples, but you may want to, you don't have to, but you may want to just have a third rule, no fourth rule, third rule saying be nice. And this is proven to be easier for kids to grasp, which makes it easier for you to enforce those rules. Okay? High school teachers, these work fine for everything. However, high school students can sometimes find loopholes. They can bring behaviors in that you've never thought of sometimes, and can be more unusual, which makes doing this exercise especially important if you're a high school teacher. If there is a behavior that keeps recurring, and maybe it's something related to their safety, something you really, really want to emphasize. Maybe you're a science teacher and you want to emphasize how the handling of materials, because it's important, and it's important for the learning and safety of everyone in your classroom. You can add a fifth rule that is, even though you could probably link it to one of these, you may want to make it really specific about handling those materials. And again, it can be any subject matter. You may have one, you may have four. I'll give you an example. When I was teaching high school, we had students who were kicking the equipment over the fence into an adjacent property that we weren't able to access. And so we were losing equipment, some expensive equipment. Most of the time it was on accident, but they were being careless. And so we wanted a rule to target that particular behavior. And so I had a fifth rule: don't kick the equipment, don't throw the equipment over the fence. And so we were clear about that. We targeted it, and then it stopped altogether. You can certainly say, you can define it for your students as listen and follow directions, but if you kind of have a pull it out and really target it, that behavior tends to be eliminated. And so that's something that you can do. You can do it in middle school too. You probably don't need to. You probably don't need to in elementary school, but it is an option if you want to. Just make it sure it's an actual rule. When teachers ask me to review rules, they're usually not rules. They're sentiments like do your best and try hard, which aren't rules. They aren't definable. They're not enforceable. And so make sure that they're an actual rule. Here's another one, like wearing earbuds. There may be some students that are hiding earbuds in the class, and it's happening a lot and it's frustrating you. Pull it out, target it as a specific rule that you're going after, and that behavior tends to really drop off. So those are the only two: kindergarten, first grade, and then sometimes in high school, if you have some specific things, if you're teaching art and there's certain safety things with the kiln, and so you want to kind of write that out. Okay, so that's it. So what you do now is you write out these rules on a little sheet of paper, and then write all the misbehaviors that you're seeing. And it's a really great exercise, again, getting you ready to enforce. And it also helps you to really understand these misbehaviors and how they're being broken. This helps you to enforce, but it also helps you when you're going to actually teach your rules to your students, and you have a ready examples you can use with them to model these behaviors. Future videos: how to teach them, how to model them, how to enforce them with your students, and then most importantly, how to create a classroom where these rules matter to students. So they actually care about them and they want to listen, learn, and behave rather than suffer the consequences of breaking these rules. Okay, if you like this video, please give it a like or thumbs up, and make sure that you subscribe. And if you have any video topics you want me to cover, please let me know in the comment section. Hope you're having a great week, and I'll see you next time.